Are you ready to be blue about this review? Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Song Sung Blue, the newest film from director Craig Brewer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is Christmas of 2025, which means we have another biopic on our hands. We've already had The Smashing Machine, and I'm sure something else that I'm completely forgetting. But this time we have Song Sung Blue, which is about Mike and Claire Sardina, who are, of course, known as Lightning and Thunder, who were basically a tribute band for Neil Diamond. It is a story about their trials and tribulations from, of course, a car accident, which caused one of them to lose a leg, to the eventual death of one of the individuals due to a heart attack. But it is their story about how they met, how they formed this band, and of course the the family and friends that also supported them along the way, including Ella Anderson, who plays Rachel, King Princess, who plays Angelina, and a couple of friends who were played, of course, by Michael Imperioli, Fisher Stevens, and Jim Belushi. So basically, it's a biopic about these individuals and their popularity for being a tribute band for Neil Diamond. So that's pretty much the gist of a biopic. It has two individuals. It's based on a true story. It basically goes through the trials and tribulations of those two individuals, or those individuals in general. And at least from the trailers, this movie looked like it was going to be an Oscar play. You know, it looked like it was going to be somewhat interesting. But I've learned my lesson on biopics that most of the time they just don't hit. You know, the Bob Dylan movie didn't hit for me. You know, the Smashing Machine didn't hit for me. The latest few biopics didn't hit for me. So I was not going in this with like a lot of intrigue or a lot of introspect when it came to the biopic. But I know every once in a while Walk the Line comes out that I feel is pretty good for what it's worth. And I mean, at least that's going to be something. Craig Brewer, of course, directed Hustle and Flow, which is really good. He also directed My Name is Dolomite, but he unfortunately did Coming to America. So with all that said, to talk about this in a review, my honest opinion is this movie is one of the most, not baffling, but one of the most disappointing movies I've seen this year, because it's just not very good, to be really honest. I think Hudson is probably the best part about this movie, if there is a best part, because at least she's trying, to be fairly honest. I think Hugh Jackman is giving one of the weirdest performances of his career. I think it's a very campy, very over the top and silly performance. I think at least Kate Hudson's giving it an at least Oscar nominee performance. I think she's very good. She's very grounded. And what she does in this movie is at least try to be a semblance of a human being. Unlike the rest of these people, I think the rest of these people are very stereotypical members of a movie, especially biopic. I don't believe a lot of these individuals actually existed. They may be like amalgamations of other people. I'm not saying there aren't, people out there that aren't, friends with these people, but they just don't feel like 100% true people. And maybe I'm wrong in that. That's perfectly fine. But I think, people like Fisher Stevens and Michael Imperioli are given the best with what they can do. I mean, the script is not very good in this movie. I don't know what Jim Belushi is doing in this movie, but it's just something of one of the worst performances I've seen this year. But I think it's a movie that really is what, Walk Hard and stuff like that, like kind of shows you about a biopic and stuff like that, or a musical biopic. It has a trajectory. It goes to exactly the points and beats that you expect, and it has a template that is so predictable that it's almost kind of boring. And what's fascinating is this is based on a true story, so the beats that happen in this movie. But the problem is, instead of making it more natural, it has the upbeat opening, the tragedy that happens in the middle, the comeback like they do, and then another tragedy point. And it feels like they're trying to be like $1 Million Baby, and it just doesn't work. And it's really kind of sad, because this movie, once again, directed by Craig Brewer and starring Hugh Jackman, who's a really good actor, and Kate Hudson, who is shown to be a really good actress, just can't beat the level of what the script is trying to do, and it's underneath them in a lot of respects. And it's a sad thing, because I'm pretty sure these two individuals, if you read the reports, they were very popular in their area. They were obviously were, if they were playing for Pearl Jam in one Summer's Fest or whatever it was. I think what this movie does, and when it goes by beats, and it has the two kids that are awkward, and it takes them a while to get used to the family and grow to love them, and then there's a pregnancy storyline in this that just feels campy and overused. It's one of those movies that really feels like it's just so by the book, paint by numbers, basic when it comes to its kind of story arcs and stuff like that, that it almost doesn't feel real, to be fairly honest. And that's just kind of how I feel about it, because it could be so much more. It could be a walk the line or something so interesting, but it parodies almost to the point of like laughability and where it goes and what ends up happening. And the fact that, drug use, and the fact that, it has to go to, it's like the Smashing Machine. It follows those same beats. It's like the act, the one person in the movie is really good, but everybody else sucks. It really is kind of a shame. And it's not saying that, Fisher Stevens and Michael Imperioli are terrible. It's just they're not given much to do. They're very atypical archetypes of story arcs, and it follows the book by beat. And they have the reunion thing, and then something happens, and it's just like, okay, sure. Lightning and Thunder, I mean, they sound like a cool band to watch if you like tribute bands, but I think for a movie, it's been done before. It's been done a billion times before, and there's nothing interesting or unique or prophetic or whatever you want to call it to this movie. So I think it's one of the, not one of the worst, but one of the most disappointing movies I've seen this year. And there are much better biopics. Even Ray is a pretty good biopic, but I think what I'm starting to learn is that these biopics are just not. They're kind of a dime a dozen. Go watch My Name is Dolomite. I think that's a really good biopic, to be fairly honest, with Eddie Murphy. So anyways, that's my take on Song Sung Blue, which will be in theaters on Christmas. So I do appreciate you watching. In the comments below, what do you think of Neil Diamond? Are you looking forward to this movie? Have you heard of Lightning and Thunder? If you haven't, like I haven't, you probably be interested in seeing this movie. But yeah, let me know in the comments. But otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. As always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.